What's up, everyone? Ben Reza here for Stokastic, talking PGA. Yes, the second major is in the books, but no, that doesn't mean we slow down. In fact, there's plenty more golf to be played starting this week. Charles Schwab Challenge. Got over 130 players in the field. We've got Scheffler, Morikawa, Homa, plenty of other big names. A lot of randos in there. Let's break it down. We're going to use the lineup generator. We're going to use the data hub. We're going to talk about some of my favorite plays as well. I want to welcome you into Stokastic, all things DFS. Take a look around. If you like what you see, subscribe to this very channel. But let's not waste any more time. Let's start to get into things. Before I dive into the plays, before I dive into anything, I want to talk about the course because it's one of the, the regulars. Colonial, man. We see this every week, every year, forever. It's technical. It's short. Irons, putting, Texas, wind, maybe. We'll check the forecast. I don't think it's going to be anything crazy right now. When we look at this is a far cry from Valhalla last week. Shout out to Xander. Congratulations. Probably should have mentioned that right off the top. But before that, let's talk about the course because that's what I think is most important. What do I want in a golfer when I think of who could succeed at this tournament, who has succeeded in the past? To me, it does start with the ability to control your distance with your irons. Now, that's not breaking any news. Basically, all tournaments, you guys know, ball striking, irons, that type of stuff. It translates everywhere. But you have a course here and a layout, just two par fives. It's more, can you get short irons in your hand? Can you convert the putts? I'm thinking 125 to 175 in terms of those ranges. Not a lot of 200-yard plus type shots. You don't need to be crazy accurate off the tee. Obviously, it's more technical. You want to just keep it out of the thick stuff. Don't do anything stupid. Getting up and down, all the standard things. But for me, de-emphasizing driving distance is never a bad thing. Emphasizing ball striking, irons. Again, if you can roll it on bent grass, that's great. But this is just a course that we have seen time and time again. It doesn't box out the short hitters. So if you're not crazy off the tee and you got a lot of other things going on with your game in a good way, you're definitely in play for this layout. Now, let's get the lineup generator. Here we go. Super simple. One of my favorite tools that we have across everything. A really good way to get a cursory look and generate some lineups quickly. So you go in, I selected DraftKings. We want to lock a player. I'm going to look at the Scheffler lineups just because I think that's an interesting build. Doesn't mean that I'm going to be locking Scheffler, far from it. But you go and it starts to just generate your lineups. You can save them, you can discard them. I'm just going to run through randomly and save a bunch so we can look at some of the ownership percentages, the allocations, and see what we got. Again, this takes 2 seconds. It's that simple. So obviously Scheffler's in all the lineups. What does it look like? Well, no surprise. We're completely boxing out the 9 and 10K range. I think this is pretty telling. Look at all these lineups. They're really pairing up and peppering the 7 and 8s. Right here, this is an interesting build, actually. Look at Minwoo. He snuck in there. 9,700. Then you got Rose, Ricky. Double punt at the bottom here, 58 and 51. I think more often than not, they'll probably look like this Scheffler lineups. Denny McPutts, 3 in the 7s, and your favorite 5K option. We're going to get into the 5K when we get into the data hub. It's something we have to do this week because of the product of having a guy that's 13,300 on DraftKings. It doesn't mean, again, these are just Scheffler-centric lineups, but an interesting build, an interesting wrinkle. I just have to see this one just for my own curiosity. This is double pay up. Scheffler Morikawa, 7,755. I actually kind of like the look at that. Again, this is the beauty of lineup generator. The link is below, by the way, if you want to use this. Check it out for the week. I really believe these type of tools make all the difference. Obviously, if you want something more advanced, the sims and all that, where there's just, we're simulating the tournament. But this is a great way to generate lineups quickly. This is a great way to get the data, the projections, the ownership, customizable, all that good stuff. So we get a little glimpse into what I could spend all day on this. Don't worry. We're going to get into the players in just a second. I just love doing this, spinning the wheel and seeing what we get. But more importantly, let's start breaking down this field. We're going to rattle through it. I'm going to go right off the top and just start talking about players. Honestly, I'm going to do this a little differently because, again, this data is there. The projections, the leverage, all of this will continue to update. It's why you want to be inside the ropes. At every range, basically top tier, mid tier, and salary savers, I'm going to give you my favorite couple and one guy that I'm looking to short. And we'll do it like that. So let's get into the top tier here. Obviously, we've got Scheffler. We've got Morikawa, Spieth, Homa, Finau, Minwoo, Siwoo, Harman, Sanjay, Hollywood Hoagie, Adam Scott, and Harris English. I'm going 9K and up for the top tier. So guys that I want to talk about. Number one is Tony Finau. He's 9,900. I really like the spot. He's going to be pretty popular. That would be my guess, but I don't think it'll be out of control right now. We just have him just north of 10%. I would love to sign for that. I think he might get updated a little bit and he goes a little higher. He's 18th at the PGA. He gained almost 10 strokes with the ball striking. He couldn't putt. He couldn't really drive the ball, which is atypical. He's working on a good year, 5 straight made cuts. He was a runner-up in Houston, obviously. That is in Texas as well. Farmers, the top 10. The wins, they're not as prevalent as a lot of people, including me, think they should be. But Tony Finau checks a lot of boxes. The interesting thing about him, aggressive second man, conservative first man into lineup. So if you go balance, you could start with Finau, no doubt about it, and go from there. If you're aggressive, you could pair Finau with Homa, Finau with Spieth, Finau with Morikawa, Finau with Scheffler. That's an interesting wrinkle. I'm on board with either of those. I like Tony Finau this week. Colin Morikawa, again, it's always a little weird when you have a near miss. He played really bad on Sunday, didn't get it done against Xander. He still came in 4th. Ball striking was good. Around the green was ridiculous. That's a huge outlier for him. Not that he's a bad around the green player, but he was doing all sorts of things there. But he's starting to get it together. He was 3rd at the Masters, 9th at Heritage, 16th at Wells Fargo, and now 4th at the PGA. That's what we want to see from this guy. I mean, all-around player, and as good as Scheffler is, and of course, Scheffler is amazing, and I'm going to put him in the pool a little bit. It's a $2,300 difference between Morikawa and Scheffler. I mean, that's the difference between a mid-5s and almost an 8K player. That's ridiculous. That's huge. Obviously, these guys up top, they're going to be popular. They're big names. What is there to say? Final guy for me in the upper range, if I had to rank him, and he was very frustrating last week. And that's Sanjay. I'm just going to stick with Sanjay. Again, he's $9,400. The game, I really can't get a good grasp on it, but in some ways, I like what I see. Off the tee has been very solid. That is not the problem. The irons have not been crisp, but that's not the problem either. He missed the cut at the PGA because he couldn't putt. He lost 4.8 strokes putting at the PGA in 2 rounds. That's absurd. That's just an absolutely terrible putting performance. The week before at Wells Fargo, he gained 6 strokes putting and he came in 4th. It's sometimes that simple to break down. That's a difference of nearly 11 strokes on the green. The ball striking numbers look basically the same tee to green over the last couple weeks, but the results have been wildly different. He fits this course. He's got experience here. He's not played well here. Kind of a mixed bag. He's got a 10th and a 15th peppered around some missed cuts. I don't really care about that. Maybe a little thin to start with him, but second man in, no problem with that. I'm on board with Sanjay this week. And then if I had to short one guy, again, it's the top range. I want to make it clear. All of these guys are more than playable. I think we know that by now. For me, though, Siwoo at 96. He doesn't grade out well leverage-wise right now. I want to see where that ownership goes. I may have a little in the pool, but he's not going to be a core play for me. Just not sure what exactly is going on. He was just not good last week. He's also got some putting woes, just to speak, try to be objective here. He's lost strokes putting in 4 straight. The irons have been fine, and his ball striking numbers are not terrible. In fact, before the PGA, he had 3 straight top 20s, but I do expect that ownership to creep up. The price is more than premium, and it's an opportunity cost. I like Minwoo. I like Finau. I like Sanjay, and I certainly want to get some of the big names. So you can't have everyone there. Obviously, again, it is what it is in the top tier, but if I had to rank them, Finau 1, Morikawa 2, Sanjay 3 for me. Let's keep it moving. Let's scroll down here. See what we got in the mid-range. So, Bez is here. Denny McPutts. Billy Ho, who just appeared at the PGA and then just came in 7th. Killa Keith. Justin Rose, who I called for a miscut last week. Not great. Chris Kirk. Sepp Straka. Tom Kim. Keegan. Detry. We'll take each range kind of independently here. Yes, I'm a broken record, but I'm going to back Bez. I believe in the game. And if you're on the betting side with Odd Chopper, and we'll talk about a little betting in a second, it's been frustrating with Bez. But on the DFS side, it's been more than valuable. He's played well this year. He had made 6 straight cuts before the PGA. He didn't have it. He got eaten up off the tee a little bit, and that's a concern. Not at Colonial, at Valhalla. I don't worry about that nearly as much here. Everything else is solid with him, and he actually didn't. I mean, he didn't putt poorly. He putted flat at the PGA, and that broke a stretch of 8 straight events where he had gained strokes putting. This is an elite putter. This is an elite short game player. Irons come and go when they are here. Obviously, he contends. He could have, should have won earlier in the year, lost the Amex to the amateur. He's got a top 10 at Valspar, 13th at the Players, 28th at Heritage, 16th at Wells Fargo, which is kind of ridiculous considering Quail Hollow. It's not a course that I think of. He was 15th at this event in 2022, 21st in 2023. He's gained strokes putting. There's good bent splits. Bez just makes sense. He's basically neutral leverage, which I'm more than content with. I like him to get things started in the 8K range. Scrolling down, if I had to give a second and third, it is a little jumbled here. I'm going to go a little different with Keith Mitchell. He's someone, first of all, positive leverage is always a good sign if that ownership holds true. Again, this is early on Wednesday. Things can and will update. You would think, well, what do you mean? It's a short track. Why would you back a guy like that? He has shown throughout his career he benefits from that. This is a winner at Honda, which I think is interesting. A top 5 at Pebble. These are the type of courses for him he can thrive at because he gets the club down, you keep it in the fairway, and he's still hitting short irons in because he's got so much length. 8,600, more than a reasonable tag for him. I have no problem going with Keith Mitchell. And then just to go right next to him, not Justin Rose, but Chris Kirk. Chris Kirk did not have it last week. I'm just going to try to buy right back at it. Putting can be an issue. There's no doubt about it. He's lost basically all the time. Take out the Masters because we don't have strokes gain data. 7 straight tournaments with bad putting, negative putting. That's not going to get it done yet. He had made the cut in 6 of those. So the ball striking is there. Can we get anything with the putter? Well, going to Texas, maybe a change of surface, something like that. It can't hurt. He plays this event every year. He missed the cut in 2023, but he had made the cut in like 15 straight years before that. Not even exaggerating. He plays this every year. It's a course that he's thrived at. He's got this trophy in the closet way back in 2015. Chris Kirk's game fits this, so I am fine with that. This is a cool build if you go balanced to have 2 or even 3 of these guys in the same lineup together. If I was shorting a guy, again, it's hard to say that I would short Justin Rose because he's only projected for a little ownership here. I don't have a lot of interest there. If I look, Sepp Straka, if he's, again, a lot of these are small deviations. I'm going to have Straka in the pool. I think he's a better bet than DFS play. And what I mean by that is I like the upside for him, and he certainly can make or break a lineup. But when I look at it, I've got Kirk, Mitchell, Tom Kim, and Keegan, who I'm indifferent to, not in a bad way. Straka, to me, if he's very popular, could be a lucrative short on some of my lineups here. His irons have been outstanding. His short game has been atrocious, particularly around the green. And we'll see. There's definitely some boom bust nature. Not a ton of course history. He's missed the cut 2 out of 3 here. I don't think that really matters, to be honest. It's a good range, though. All in all, I like the 8s. Going to be over on the range in general with Bez, Keith, and Kirk leading the way. Second part of the mid-range here with the 7s, Bhatia, Taylor, Moore, Aaron Rai, bing, ding, ding, 7,800. I like this spot. Positive leverage. I bet him. Not a guy that's usually on my betting card. Just love everything about his game. He's good with the irons, no doubt. He gained almost 3 strokes on the approach at the PGA. Gained 6 strokes at Byron Nelson, and he came in 4th. He has a top 10 at Houston. I like that. A good year here on tour. There's not much else for me to say. I want exposure at this price point. I like Aaron Rai quite a bit. Scrolling down, this is a range, again, not a lot of ownership on some of these guys. I think, honestly, Ricky is kind of interesting at 76. If he's seriously going to be sub 5% like this, I will take some flyers on him. Now, the game, it's Ricky, man. He did make the cut, and he flipped the driver, which I like to see, but his irons were atrocious. Short game is the short game. He's a good bent putter. He's made 4 straight cuts, including the Masters and the PGA, so I'm banking that a class drop in terms of the field strength will help him. He's a top 10 here last year. He plays this event every year. I think Ricky's an interesting tournament play. You don't need crazy exposure to him, and again, that's the beauty of this type of stuff. It's not about how much you're playing, it's relative to the field. You know, if Ricky was 30% owned, obviously that would be underweight. If he was 0.1% owned, I would be overweight. And it looks like right now he's not expected to get a lot of ownership, and we'll see where this matures to. But I do like that spot in general. Scrolling down a little more here, there are plenty of names. Cam Davis is a guy that I want to mention. First of all, he jumps off the page with the leverage score, and that's because, if he's not going to be popular at 7,300, it's a name to consider. Lee Hodges is right there, and I think he'll get some love off just an incredible showing last week. Cam Davis is a wild card. He's a wild child. He's a dangerous player. He missed the cut at the PGA. I don't really care about that. He had made 4 of 5 or 4 straight before that. So he's coming in 4 or 5 made cuts. Elite scorer. When the guy makes the cut, he outscores his placement points. We've seen that time and time again. I don't know why that would change here. Is it the ideal course for him? Probably not, honestly, but he's someone, again, is there a little Keith Mitchell in there? I am cherry picking a little bit, but a top 10 at the Players, a third at Heritage. These are technical layouts. A top 10 at this very venue at Colonial. It seems like in some ways these type of courses force and funnel his game into an optimized position. And I like that at 7,300. He's always someone that can really, really help your lineups. You're not breaking the bank. Cam Davis is an interesting play. I actually think he's an interesting bet. Someone that, if you're looking to that kind of stuff, boom bust potential here, and you don't need a lot of exposure. I am on board with that play. So looking at, in this range again, Doug Gim's going to get a lot of love. I get it. Shank's going to get a lot of love. If Putnam is this popular, I'm not getting overweight. No chance. Again, keep an eye on the ownership. It's why you want to be part of the team here at Stokastic. We've got all these tools. They're constantly updated with new and better information as the tournament gets closer to getting started. Before I get to the salary savers, before I get to the cheapies, I do have to mention, I'm assuming everyone, I don't know why, if you're watching this on Thursday, you're extremely legitimate because the tournament's already started. So I'm going to say for 99.9% of you, you are watching on a lovely Wednesday afternoon or Wednesday night. I couldn't appreciate it more. Love talking golf. On the other side of the fence, I could say, though, is the betting side. And if you didn't know about Dinger Tuesday and what's going on there, it's the home run promo from FanDuel. And we, as a team, put together home runs, and we hit one. And what did we do to celebrate? We have made up Odd Chopper, as I just brought up on the screen, $1 just for a flash sale for a week, but it's just today. So if you sign up on Odd Chopper, if you want to see the betting tools in action, sign up, use the code DINGER. The link is below, or you can just go to oddchopper.com. $1 for a full week. You get Discord, you get the tools, you get everything. So I had to mention that again. It's going away. You will see this today, and then you will not see it tomorrow. Just to celebrate, because hitting a home run, hitting the dinger play is awesome. Come on in. Another part of the Stokastic family. A great time if you are making some bets, if you are betting some golf or other sports. Obviously, I'm betting all sorts of things, but we got to find some cheapies, maybe some bets as well in there as we scroll down into the depths, into the lower ranges, into the salary savers, we go. So for cheapies, and this is important because with Scotty Scheffler north of 13,000, you're going to want to find some guys in the 6 and 5K ranges this week. And there's plenty of names here that I think you could look to. As I scroll down again, a lot of these guys I think are pretty interesting, but the guy I want to talk about actually back-to-back, CT Pan and Adam Svensson. Two guys I like a lot in the mid 6K range. Not going to be popular. CT Pan fits this course, not just because of course history, but because of course fit, which is always more important. I feel like I've said this about 5 guys already. He missed the cut at the PGA, but he had made 5 straight cuts before that. That's what I want to see. He has gained in 5 of 6 with the approach. He has gained in 5 of 6 around the green. He has a third in Mexico this year. He has a third at this very course back in 2019. He fits this perfectly. Off the tee is the weak part of his game. He's an iron specialist that at times has spike putting. Will we get spike putting? Your guess is as good as mine. I like CT Pan this week. Now, if Adam Svensson gets spike putting, we're going to be in business, but the chances of that are minimal right now, I would say. 6 straight made cuts, 0 top 40s over the same stretch. What I just said almost is impossible, but it's true. The guy makes the cut and he cannot build on it because he is bleeding strokes on the green so heavily right now. He lost 4 strokes putting at the PGA. He lost 8 strokes putting at Wells Fargo. He lost 6 strokes putting at Valspar. He lost 4 strokes putting at Players. The only time that he has gained strokes putting over the last 7 events has been at Heritage. We need a better putting performance. The irons are great. He's gained more than 2 strokes ball striking on the approach in 5 of 6 events. I love to see that at 6,400. I love to see that at any price, but at 6,400, that's a beautiful, beautiful number. And I'm on board with that. Scrolling down, again, I think this is where skill set stacks come into play. Like if you want to go bomber heavy for some reason and be different, you've got Schmid right there. If you want to go completely other direction, you've got a guy like Kuchar, Kevin Tway, Grayson. I think at 61 is in play. I played a little Grayson actually last week at the PGA. I woke up on Thursday. He was like 5 over. It felt like I was like, well, Ben, big mistake. And he grinded it out. Grayson's a scorer, and he's 6,100 in this field. I'm on board with that. Sam Ryder, guy's good for an eagle or two. But this is where, like most things, it's about the lineup. I don't think you want to go unless you have a read on a guy down here. I'm not advocating going down here unless you have to, but there are names for me. Grayson, I mentioned Kuchar, and certainly CT Pan and Svensson in the 6K range. 5K range, it just gets more and more crazy. Ben Martin, Bermuda Benny, maybe Bentgrass Benny, I don't know. Hopefully. He missed the cut at Myrtle Beach. He wasn't at the PGA Championship, but it's been a decent season, honestly. He was 7th at the Valera, 6 straight cuts, made the cut at the Players. Byron Nelson, Corrales, some of these fields, he was good at Valspar, another technical track. He's got experience on tour, more than enough experience in this event. He made the cut here last year. He's actually made the cut every single time he's played here, 6 straight. Now, that spans over a decade because he hasn't had all the starts in there. But Ben Martin, if you're in a jam, if you get to 5,900, I'm fine with that. One of the guys that's in my pool as my favorite cheapies. Other side of that coin is a guy like Davis Riley, wild man, elite scorer, big boom bust potential. I hate to say that in golf. Honestly, I cringe when I say it because it's golf. Anyone could go out and win. Anyone could go out and miss the cut. But when you just look at Davis Riley, I mean, this kind of illuminates it. Miscut, 14th, miscut, 30th. It's just when he's good, he's great. And when he's bad, he's pretty poor. He was 14th in Houston, and he gained almost 9 strokes tee to green. That's what we're obviously looking for. They're few and far between, but they're in the range of outcomes. A lot of guys down here, I can't say that about. Davis Riley is one that I can. Streelman, I think, is a name. He's a short iron guy. Obviously, Pebble, stuff like that. And now we're getting, way to the bottom. I'm not sure you want to get this crazy, to be honest. Robbie Shelton, Stanger, Merritt. Yeah, I'm not. If you got guys down here, more power to you. I'm not going to have enough Scheffler where this is going to matter for me. And unless you really go aggressive, I don't think you'll need to get to the lower 5s, to be honest. I found myself, I was messing around with Lineup Generator, and I ran some preliminary sims right here on this very page, actually. Just scroll up. You'll see this is the data hub. You've got the contest generator, the pre-contest simulator, all part of the Stokastic packages. Again, come and check it out for yourself. But I didn't see the need, or I wasn't getting to a lot of these guys down here just because the way my lineups fell. It was more in the Morikawa Finau type builds, Minwoo even. Just didn't need it. Sanjay as well. So for me, A little more balanced and a little more stars and scrubs. This is a north of 130 man field, standard cut, and all that. We are back to cuts. Keep that in mind. You can't just roster anybody and see what happens. You do need to get these guys through the cut. I know I breezed through a lot there. It feels like a sprint when I do these shows solo, but if you have any questions at all, please get in contact with me at JazzRazDFS on Twitter. I'm always on there. Happy to help if you're struggling with something, you have a question about the tools, or you're just like, hey, you didn't mention Adam Scott. What do you think of him? Let me know. I'll be happy to answer and see what we got. Keep an eye on these ownership projections, the leverage, all of it as we get closer to lock. And most importantly, let's put a winner on the board. Let's see someone at the top of the leaderboard with the Stokastic avatar. Love seeing that. Obviously, we see it all the time, but let us know about it. Make sure you get your recognition. And I hope to see you up there with my name as well. Let's see if we can get some magic. I've had some good showings at Colonial over the years. I love this course, and I actually love this event. And I think it's a pretty good field all in all. But I'm going to bounce on out of here. Again, appreciate everyone on the Odd Chopper side. Dinger Tuesday promo. It is just running today. On the Stokastic side, come on in. Check out these tools from lineup generator to sims in action for yourself. But most importantly, just have a great week ahead. Enjoy the golf. And thanks for stopping by.